So I'm guessing for tonight we're going to talk about Mondays and how Mondays just Monday the Monday out of you. That's my best guess.
You stole my guess.
Well, come up with a new one, damn it.
Tuesdays, do they really exist? Or is it just another Monday?
These are the questions. And this will be the part where we find out if the tech is still teching or if it's working, because he's Mike, I'm Dan. This is In the Blind, and we're going to see if the intro works. It's a working intro within the blind.
It is.
With Mike and Dan. Yay! A win. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I am good. I was almost not, but I am fine. Yes.
Excellent.
Monday tried to get me, but to no avail. I'm still here.
Yeah, Mondays have got teeth lately, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good day, actually. Overall, it was fine up until a little while ago, and then it just decided not to be. Yeah. That's the thing. Mondays, it might wait till late in the day. It's got that thing. It lies in wait. It's a snake in the grass. It's just lying and waiting for you to get comfortable, and then just before the end of the day, puts its claws out and it jumps on you. That's Monday.
Somebody should make a horror movie, Wes Craven or somebody, just called Monday. It'd probably work.
It is the scariest title I can think of. You don't even need to put you don't need to put any other adjectives, verbs, anything else on it. It doesn't have to be like Murderous Monday. No, it could just be Monday.
Oh no, there's a scarier title.
Rated Monday.
Yeah, right. I can think of one scarier title. X. Just
ooh.
X. Very scary.
Yeah.
And it would be worse if your ex's name was Monday.
Yeah. Oh God.
Right?
Like her name was film. Monday.
All right. On that note, welcome to In the Blind with Mike and Dan. If you have not been here before, this is real simple. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. Producer Beth is sitting across from me. She's going to give us two topics. We get 20 minutes each to debate and discuss. And then after that, we have the true-false round, which is really fun and really crazy. And we guarantee that you'll learn something that you probably never wanted to know.
That's true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Shall we do this, Mikey?
We shall.
All right. On with it.
Okay. So we tend to think of ourselves as making choices every day. What to say, what to do, what kind of person we want to be. But there's a question that challenges that idea at a much deeper level. Because from a scientific perspective, every thought, every reaction, every decision we make is tied to activity in our brain. Electrical signals, chemical reactions, patterns shaped by genetics, environment, and past experience. And in some cases, those reactions happen before we even consciously are aware of making a choice. So it raises a bigger question. If our thoughts are the result of prior processes in the brain, are we actually choosing anything? Or are we just experiencing the outcome of something that was already set in motion? And if that's true, what does that mean for things like responsibility, identity, and moral accountability?
So just to sum this up, to make sure I'm understanding your question, because you're talking about high-level functionality of brain, and I'm not sure I have that at the moment.
Sure.
So
I know I don't.
Of all the days.
I know.
So just to be clear, what you're saying is the long and the short of it, do we actually choose what we do, or is it just like our brain's programming that chooses for us?
Yes. This I'm not intending this. I mean, you guys can go there if you want, but I'm not intending this to be like a predestination type thing, but more like because of everything that is going on neurologically in your brain. Like I said, just the processes and the fact that we have genetics and our own environment and even past experience that all kind of comes together. And a lot of times the choices that we make in a split second, and we don't really think about it before it happens. So does that mean that we're actually choosing, or it's just an outcome that was already set in motion because of those things?
Interesting question. One, to be honest, I've
Yana.
never really thought about.
Yana, I'm not stupid. It's my genetics that caused me to be this way.
Yeah, I
I
suppose
mean-
this would have some application over at TCF.
Or at everywhere, really. But yeah, for TCF, like I was born to be a criminal judge.
You know, I believe that with some of the people that we see over there, but that's probably another topic.
Yeah, I mean that's almost it's almost a chicken or the egg sort of question sometimes.
It really is. But I think what she's ultimately asking is how much control do we really have over the things we do and the choices we make? I would like to think we have ultimate control, but I think it's an interesting question. How much of our experiences cause us to act in ways that we don't necessarily plan on or think we're going to act, especially in the moment? And you know, how much of it is muscle memory? How much of it is pre-programming from another time? Because there is like that genetic ancestral kind of memory too.
Yes.
So that's an interesting question.
Yeah,
Probably more than we think. There's probably more that's going on inside our brains that control the things we do and the choices that we make than we even realize.
So it's more of an illusion of control versus actual full control. Is that what you're saying?
Well, maybe you could make that argument in a lot of different directions. I mean, people argue all the time on the religious side that God gives you free will, but God also already knows who you are, what you've done, and what you're going to do, which brings in that whole, is it really free will or is it the illusion kind of thing? And this would be just an extension of that, only just into our own brains. I'm trying to think of actions that I've taken in like the spur of the moment that were probably like preordained based on what's already up there.
Well, think about driving.
Well, I was just thinking about driving, actually, accidents that I've like avoided or seen coming before they actually happened. A lot of that driven by prior experience for sure.
For me, when I was doing the question, I was thinking about when I fell and broke my leg.
What about that? Like,
because it could have gone a million different other ways and been so much worse than it was. But my split second reaction to fall to the side and catch my body weight, as opposed to tumbling down the stairs or letting my head fall back and hit a stair, prevented it from going so much worse. But that wasn't something that I actually had time to process.
well, yeah, and that I think is a separate argument. It is amazing how quickly the brain can react to something in the moment. But I don't know if that's necessarily what we're talking about here.
Oh, well, I do, but that's up for I guess that's
I don't
between
know.
you and Michael. Just
I guess I just look at it differently from that instantaneous, like that's like muscle memory kind of reaction to me, as opposed to how I took your initial question was, you know, you're making choices, but how much of the choices are like subconsciously influenced by other things in your brain, other programming.
Well, yeah, but I also mentioned past experience, which
Yeah.
would account for muscle memory.
Fair. I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
Well, so I was thinking about the question, and it's sort of this, is everything sort of interlocked with everything else? And so as a result, yeah, are we really in control? Is it more the illusion of control based upon since our past and our experience shapes kind of how we are and how we think, and how we are and how we think is shaped by our past, and that past is shaped by all sorts of things, whether, I mean, everything from, gee, did my mother smoke pot while she was pregnant with me versus, you know, or you know, what happened when I was first born? Was it what happened immediately after my birth and right up to whatever? All these different, again, everything that happened from the time you were conceived till the time you had your first cogent thought, you know, outside the womb and so on. I mean, all of that, I guess how I took the question is, I guess all of that sort of shapes who you are, and you're not really in control of any of that, right? So then are you really in control of much of anything? Oh, sure. I can make decisions now as an adult. I could choose to go out for a bike ride, or I could choose to go climb a mountain, or go to the grocery store, or do nothing. But really, those are small choices within a broader pattern that shaped where I am today. So yeah, it's this small window of choices within a broader, you know, kind of locked area that I'm sort of stuck in. This, I have control inside the room, but the house was built for me. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know. That's kind of how I took the question. And so I look at it like, yeah, I wonder, it's a fascinating sort of philosophical, kind of a mind fuck, really. You know, like, where are we? Like, where, you know, how much control is there? And Dan says, you know, I would like to think that, you know, we're in control, but how much really are you? With all of that kind of in mind. And then given that, you know, a lot of the decision, like, you can make whatever decision you want, but a lot of it relies on the actions of other people as well. So,
well, I think there's more factors even beyond the things that may affect our decisions, like subconsciously, or, you know, just because of like built-in conditioning. But if you think about it, you can make a decision. But then you said as well, there's all these little variables and stuff. And I get that, because we can affect, at least to an extent, the choices that we make, but we cannot control completely the outcome of those choices because of all the variables. So really, you know, from that standpoint, control is a complete illusion as well, because there's too many outside things that go on, and how those outside things affect the choices you make probably subconsciously changes you over time to then affect how you make your choices.
yeah.
So the amount of outside influence that probably gets tangled in that cobweb of a brain that we all have, where everything's all just confused, and
It's a whole weird set of Russian nesting dolls going
yeah,
on.
no, it really is, because, you know, like, for example, just with what we do here, and Michael, you'll understand this, with what we do here on YouTube, at this point, there's 1,000 little choices that I've made between this channel, between TCF, between the other things that we've done and are yet to do. And, you know, I've tweaked those choices over time based upon the experiences that we've had and the results that we've had, good or bad. But ultimately, so much of it relies on the impact of others, and honestly, chance and luck
Yes.
plays a big role in everything as well. So and I suppose it does change the experiences that you have, changes the decisions that you'll make, because I will tell you that with TCF and within the blind and with a couple other things we have coming, this isn't the first YouTube that we've done. I've been working on it for years and it's never worked until it did. But the fact that it worked kind of has changed my approach too. I'm more measured based on the successful experience, but then also I am more aggressive based upon the successful experience. I'm not like scared of it or nervous about it or anything like that. So, and it's not necessarily me. I'm just thinking out loud here. It's not necessarily me consciously deciding that I'm going to be more aggressive or bold about it. It just is because of the newer experience. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but you start to really go down that rabbit hole of thought, like, okay, how did you get to even be involved in wanting to do this, content creation and YouTube in the first place? What led you there? What happened throughout your life that brought you down this path, right? How much control did you really have in doing this? Is this something that was always sort of meant for you to do? For me, because people say all the time, Mike, you have this voice. It's really like this really good voice, and and it's really your only good attribute. And because God damn, they're never going to put that face on TV. Being blind, being legally blind, you're never going to be like driving cars or flying planes, but it's one of those things where, sort of destiny put you in with having a voice to broadcast. And so basically my whole life I've done broadcasting of some kind, or voiceovers or whatever. That's something I've always sort of done. And then within that, I've worked within that. So for you, Dan, and I know this is relatively new for you, this aspect of it, but before that you did a podcast, and it's just something that I think, I don't know your entire life story, but I think I know it well enough to know that there's a lot of things that led you down the road to come here and sort of shaped you in this direction. And now you're here. Yep. And some of it, was a little bit, you stumbled onto it. Yeah. But why? If you really get heady about it and really deep philosophical about it, it does make you think how much is this destined and
is this all that I am? Is there nothing more?
Well, and then there's that too. Like, is this what's in the future? And this isn't even like a broader like religious thing or a fate necessarily in a grandiose architect of the universe thing, but it's just like, is everything sort of without us knowing exactly, we don't know, but as Beth sort of suggested, is the puzzle laid out and we're just putting the pieces in?
If I can open yet another Russian nesting doll chunk, even if we don't control the initial impulse, does awareness give us a second chance to choose differently?
Say that again. I was typing.
Even if we don't control the initial impulse, whatever that may be, does our awareness then give us a second chance to choose differently?
You would hope so, but that requires a certain level of discipline, doesn't it? And, how disciplined are you? Especially if it's...
And not everyone has the same level of awareness, too.
Yeah. Especially if it's a stressful or difficult choice. That's what really trips up most people.
Oh, you lost your light.
Yeah.
Right on schedule.
Yeah. I'm
just leave it off, man.
in the dark.
No, it. Yeah. This is one of the more interesting questions that we've had because there's so many different angles to look at it from.
There's a lot of angles, yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
But I think that control and like choices and whatnot, I think it's only partial. I think a lot of, because there's so much influence just over what you've already seen and what's already gone on in your life. And you were just saying, if you rethink it, would you like approach it any differently? Probably most people would not, because even the thought pattern of stopping and pausing and thinking through what you're about to do or say or whatever is still influenced by what's up there. How many people really reverse themselves when they like stop and pause, if they even stop and pause, because that's not really in vogue anymore.
Yeah. So if free will is limited, or even to go out on a limb and say it's just an illusion, does that then change how you would see yourself?
No, I still use a mirror.
Funny.
Haha. No,
I'm not talking about that kind of illusion. Not the one where you grow horns when you walk by.
No, you just asked if I still see myself, if I would still.
Yeah, I know.
No,
you missed my joke, but that's okay.
No, I know your joke. No, I don't think it would change how I see myself. But I'm at that special place in my life where I'm very much kind of in the it is what it is, I am what I am, you are what you are kind of place. So it takes a lot to kind of change that up for me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm sort of in that stage too, where it's kind of like it is what it is. I don't know. Obviously, the future, something dramatic could change it, but it's sort of. I feel like, and I mean, this is when. I'm not saying I'm stagnant or unable to change or nothing will change, but I feel like I'm in a place where, it's a stable place in that sense. Like this is how I am and how I'm going to be. Right. I mean, I feel like most of what has shaped me has happened, but I guess you only know what you know, right? So how can you say that for sure? So, this is one of those that, we don't have, obviously we don't prep. We don't have any foreknowledge of the question. But I don't know if you would have given me a week to think about this, I don't know if I would be able to, it's one of those questions. How do you know? You don't, this is just one of those, you can only speculate. You can only retrace your steps and kind of think, but that's all what the simulation wants you to do. It just wants you to think that,
Which is a whole other discussion.
It is.
Yes, we did conspiracy theories last week.
Yeah, this does kind of play into that, though, doesn't it? I mean,
it's interesting.
It could, yeah.
It's interesting, though, Mike. One thing you just said real quick while we still have time. You said that most of what is going to influence you has already happened. I feel in many ways more influenced now by things than ever, though. For me, it feels like it's accelerating in a lot of ways. I'm probably more confident in my, not even probably, I know I am. I'm more confident in like my baseline beliefs and thoughts. But I feel like there's more coming at me now that will potentially influence me and change me. And I feel like I'm more open to those things. just as long as it doesn't interfere with like the baseline me.
That comes back to the awareness issue, in my opinion, based on what you're saying, though.
Yeah. No, it probably does.
I mean, being open to stuff, but like your core though, Dan, like who you are, you know, at the heart of who you are, I would still say that that's probably not going to change much.
No, the core is pretty locked and fatter than ever.
I mean, it doesn't, yeah. Well,
But,
that part might, for me, that part continues, the core continues to grow. No, but I mean, but again, and I'm not saying it's unable to change at all, or that, you know, we're locked into this and nothing can change it. Obviously, anything can come along and you could have a complete paradigm shift overnight one day. I mean, something dramatic could, but barring that, because we, you know, the unforeseen is just that. But in general, you know, that part of you is kind of there. Now, the peripheral stuff, I mean, a lot of that can change and will change. And, you know, a lot of people, well, some people are just not open to that, and it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. And other people are more willing to sort of adapt and roll with that, you know. I think when I was younger, I was much more resistant to it. And now I think I'm just sort of like, well, if that's going to happen, then I guess that's going to happen.
that is fair.
And I'm ready to roll with it, you know.
That is fair. Well, I don't know if we answered your question, but doggone it, we tried.
You did try.
And our answers
Yeah.
were probably influenced by things we're not even conscious of.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, next one.
Well, you know, continue with the theme.
Okay. So if our choices might not be as independent or as free as we think, it raises another question. How do we define a good life in the first place? Because throughout history, there have been very different answers to that question. One perspective focuses on pleasure, happiness, and minimizing pain. The idea that a good life is one that feels good. Another perspective focuses on meaning, purpose, growth, and fulfillment. The idea that a good life is one that has direction, even if it's not always comfortable. And most people don't live entirely in one or the other. But those two ideas don't always line up. Sometimes the things that feel good in the moment don't lead to long-term fulfillment. And sometimes the things that are meaningful or worthwhile are difficult, stressful, or even painful. So it raises a bigger question. Is a good life about feeling good or being fulfilled? And can those two things actually exist together in any meaningful way?
Still taking notes. Hang tight.
Okay.
Feel free to start, Michael.
Wow. I'm glad.
I broke their brains on Monday. I love
really,
it.
this is one of those, man, this is a very deep edition of In the Blind.
On a very special episode of In the Blind.
Yeah, this is
It's like an after school special here.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I have very specific thoughts on this, which is why I asked if you had any thoughts, because
I'm not sure. Like, this is one of those, I'm not even sure where to start. Like, this is what, you know what I mean? Like, this is just like the last question, you know, this is such a philosophical rabbit hole to jump down. What, you know, what is a good life? What is happiness? What is fulfillment? You know?
Do you want me to add a little bit? I was talking about the two different lanes. So the pleasure-based living is hedonic or hedonistic. The pursuit of happiness and comfort, avoiding pain and stress, short-term versus immediate rewards, enjoyment as a primary goal. And a lot of people lean toward that as their construct for a good life. The opposite is eudaimonic, and that is a meaning-based life. It's purpose, growth, and contribution, long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort, personal development and challenge, living in alignment with values. Doesn't necessarily have to be religious. Obviously, some people take it that way, but it doesn't have to be, because there's plenty of people who follow that mindset but use it for things like trying to preserve nature or environment or whatever. And those things aren't always easy, but they get their fulfillment from doing those helpful things. So if you look at it from those two angles, that might spark some ideas for you guys.
Oh, I'm full of ideas. I just don't
Oh,
want to
okay.
step all over Michael, which is why I'm giving him the chance first.
I-
I have very specific things I'm going to say.
Dan, this is definitely I know you're chomping at the bit. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, because me, I'm more in a general. You seem to be very specific on this.
I am.
Yeah, this for me is more of a broad, and you're, I think, in the very specific. Like you have a very, almost like an enumerated list. It looks like you've got going there.
Maybe. So let me start this off by saying I love each and every one of you. Let's make that clear. This is not personal. This is just me giving my thoughts.
We're
Now
gonna
I'm
get yelled
scared.
at by Dad.
Great Granny, that's a question that can only be answered individually. Nina, I think we each have to define what our own good life is. I disagree with you both. I think one of the biggest failings of our current society is that it's all about feel good. What can I have in the moment? What can I have immediately? What will bring me pleasure? I hate pain so much so that I'm going to put myself on 55 different antidepressants and painkillers. I'm going to do all of these things. And I think it is the death of us. I think the human mind has to be challenged. I think you have to go through pain and get to the other side to be sharper and better and stronger. I think that only true fulfillment and true pleasure comes with putting in the work. And I think we miss that so often in our current workings. It doesn't even work, in my opinion, society. Life is not meant to be easy. It is not meant to be constantly pleasurable. And I think, my personal opinion is that a good life, the best life, is one that goes through struggle, that goes through pain, that goes through hardships, that learns from it and grows from it and gets better on the other side. And you can apply that to everything. I mean, I've mentioned this before. We do so much content, I don't remember where, but I know I've said it, that I've learned more from my failures than my victories, because they teach me more. I need that pain. I need that suffering to learn how to be better. And that's just kind of my view on it. A good life is a hard life.
I understand what you're saying, but I guarantee the majority of the quote unquote 1%ers, the billionaires, would totally disagree with you.
I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I think all of them would say being comfortable. And
how do you think they got their billions? Unless they inherited it. Those who built themselves up from nothing, they got there through pain. They got there through sacrifice. They didn't get there because they were like, oh my God, I've got to have this latest candy that just came out, and go hopping from Circle K to Circle K to find it, wasting their time and their money.
Well,
they sacrifice,
they
do without, and they push
Twitch
forward.
videos, and they make their money that way. But
there are always outliers for sure. And we know this. But those who have built something like sustainable from the ground up, they've done it through hard work and sacrifice. That is how they've achieved the quote unquote good life. And they've gotten to a point now where they don't even necessarily have to do that anymore, but they've learned that that is what actually brings them pleasure, is the work, is the sacrifice, is the pain. So they continue with it.
Do you really think that many of the 1%ers continue with pain and sacrifice? Because I do not.
I do. I think the ones that that are really into it, yeah, I've seen these people. We can disagree. That's fine. But I know this. I know that if you want to raise your game at all, you're not going to raise your game by being pleasure and fulfillment focused. You'll be stagnant. Now, if stagnant's good enough for you, okay, so be it. But you won't raise your game. You won't improve your life. You won't have what is, in my opinion, a good life.
I think there's a lot of people
by just being focused on that.
I think there's a lot of people that find a middle ground because it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think there's definitely something to be said for that, because there's people who work really hard so that they can play really hard, and you're only here for so long and you can't take it with you.
Well, and that is the reward, isn't it, for the hard work? But my point is, even to have that bit of pleasure, what are they doing? They're going through the pain. You're talking about working hard, playing hard. They're going through the pain to have those moments rather than just sitting back, taking the easy pleasure and then wondering why they can't have more. There is a difference. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with your answer, Dan. That is, it's well said, and it's well articulated, and that's Dan's path to a good life. And there's a lot of merit in what you say, but if I may be corny a little bit and maybe a little hokey in my answer, but I'll say this, I won't say that my life is perfect. It most certainly is not. But I think part of a good life, outside of the hard work and all, I think, Dan, I didn't even know who you were a little over a year ago. All right.
This is true.
I consider you a great friend. Not a good friend, not a casual friend, not even an acquaintance, like a great friend. Same. I feel like I could call you and talk to you about whatever, or if I had a real problem, because it's already happened. I mean, trivial though it may be, but we had this water heater issue last October and November, and Dad just came over and helped out. And anything that I need, I can always talk to Dan. I can always talk to Beth. I can always talk to Johnny, my other, I've known him for 30, Michelle. She's a huge part of my life. All these people that I have around me, right? I mean, again, now Michelle's been in my life, Johnny's been in my life. These people have been in my life longer, but every one of these, every one of you guys is a part of me and has made life better for me in some way, right? So that, surrounding yourself with people you love and people you care about, that's part of the good life. That is fulfillment. Now, would I also really like to have a lot of money? I absolutely would. I mean, I'm on the struggle bus lately with that. There's a lot of bills that need to be paid and not enough money to pay all of them. That's just the reality. But that's one of those things that eventually is going to work itself out one way or the other, It's who you met, who you encountered, what sort of experiences you had with them, how that path down the road is what makes a life good or not. There's plenty of rich people that are miserable sons of bitches. There's plenty of poor people that are very happy. The material aspect of it is only a piece of the pie,
I agree. And I feel like I should clarify something. I'm not saying that your bank account determines how good your life is.
Oh, right. I know that. I know but that's not what you're saying.
But I am saying that I don't think you can lead a good, happy life by just saying, I want all the pleasure. I think that you appreciate the pleasure more when you go through the pain to get it, whatever that
agree.
may be. And I think that's the part that people miss right now. I
Sure.
mean, look, if you can go through enough pain to make yourself a billionaire, that's cool. I would like that myself.
Oh,
At,
absolutely.
At 50 some years old, am I counting on that? It's not a bet I would take, but I think millionaire is possible. And I intend to find a way to get there, but that's not the only thing that drives me, because I know that a lot of it is luck and a lot of it is chance. But I also know that if I don't go through the pain, if I don't put in the work, not only do I not have a chance to get there, I know that it will ultimately be to the detriment of what I have now. Because even maintaining what I have now and improving upon what I have now, relationship wise, wealth wise, whatever the case may be, will only go so far if I don't put in the work and suffer the pain.
Sure. I mean, and I guess it could be argued that a lot of the people I've met, a lot like meeting you and Beth and everyone in the TCF community, you know, Ashley and Lindsay and Austin and Great Granny and Barbara and Nina and all these other wonderful people, right? I mean, I would not have met them had I not been, well, I mean, really, had I not been doing my weather videos, and had I not studied weather, had I not studied meteorology, and had I not had an interest in broadcasting, and had I not, you know, toiled on YouTube for all that time, maybe I wouldn't have been sitting here. And, you know, this goes back to Beth's other question about destiny, right? Or, you know, shaping everything the way it was, you know, maybe that wouldn't have ever happened at all, right?
No.
So there's certainly a part of that, but, and I think you do need to, you can't, just like, you know, you don't know what evil is unless you know what good is. You don't know what bad is unless you know good. You don't know the highs if you don't experience the lows, and vice versa. There's a lot of truth to that, and that's why I said I wasn't going to disagree with your assessment, but I just kind of, I just think a bit in maybe, and again, maybe I'm being kind of a cornball about it, but and sappy and sentimental about it, but I think that's, you know, every time I get really down about stuff, I do try to look at the fact that there are these people that I've met that are fantastic people, and I've had these experiences and I wouldn't have otherwise had. And, you know, there's some people that never get to experience great friendships or having reliable people around them. And so I guess in that aspect, that's part of the equation of the good life. Now, you know, yeah, there's fulfillment that I still am missing. Like I said, the money aspect, I would love to have that. You know, my buddy Johnny, his dad, John, you know, he would always say, life is a shit sandwich. The more bread you have, the less shit you have to eat. You know, and that can apply in many ways. But if you look at it just purely in the money standpoint, you know, the more money you have, the less issues you have fundamentally. Now, there's others that are created, right? But, you know, it's just all in, I guess it's life is what you make of it. But I don't know. There's lots of ways to answer that question, and everybody's going to have their own answer. And that's also the beautiful part of it.
It is. Interesting. You just said life is what you make of it. And that kind of dovetails into what I was going to point out. And that's that we've become in a lot of ways a bit of, you know, when we talk about how we define a good life, we've become a pleasure first kind of people. I want to feel good about this or that. And we use the word feel over everything. I feel like I did a good job. I feel like this happened rather than this happened.
Yes.
Or this did not happen. Or I did a good job or I did a bad job. Feel is attached to everything now. Think about it. Think about your own, how you speak, your own language.
Yep.
It's very attached. But the problem is when you lead with that over time, it dulls you. So does it get you to where you want to go? Does it get you to the good life? It might in the moment, but if you look back 20 years from now and all you have done is try to seek out pleasure because it's nice and it's, at least in your brain, a little bit easier, you'll probably look back with regret, like, geez, if I just worked harder, if I put in this little bit of pain, where would I be now? Because they're just, pleasure can become a shortcut, and you have an illusion of a good life, but you really haven't built one. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. And I'm not sitting here on a high horse. I've gone wrong. I've had those moments where I've sought out just I want the easy answer. But I've learned over the years that doesn't work. And when I look back on my own life, the times when we've struggled, where in the moment it has sucked, you look back and you either go, you know what, we made it through and that's great. Or we look back and we go, I learned something from that. Or we look back and we go, Michael has left the set because he's just so frustrated by what Dan is saying.
Drop that.
Just so many different things.
Yes.
But that's just my take on it. I don't think there's shortcuts. So if you ask me again to define a good life, it's one that puts in the work and goes through the pain to have more enjoyment and appreciation of those pleasurable, nice life moments. So, and to your point, Michael, if we hadn't put in the work, either one of us, to build what we have, which is really small potatoes on YouTube, but we never would have met each other.
Exactly.
So, we chose to put in the work, and now here we are. One day I'm doing a court show and you show up and you introduce yourself and you're like, I do weather content. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I went to your video after the show and I was like, oh my God, this guy is good. And then the next day I'm like, dude, everybody watching this show, you need to go look at Michael.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking with Michelle about that very thing today. And I said, I'd done that. At that point, it had been over 8 3/4 years I've been doing my channel. And, it was a small, very, very small channel. I mean, we're still a small channel, but that definitely jump-started a big growth, just having met you. And again, it goes back to the destiny thing, right? So that, and I give credit where credit's due, and that was a big boost to what happened to the channel, right? That was a huge a huge help, that just mentioning it on your channel, right? That was that helped it out. Sure, I'm the guy that's making the content, but it was just doing whatever. It was pretty just flat, very, 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 very slow growth before, and then it had that big spike because you really gave it that boost. And so I have, I give all the credit to you for that.
No, I give credit to you because since I met you, I've got like a guest host. And if we didn't have a guest host, we couldn't have possibly been able to take that 2-week vacation and let Beth break her leg.
That's true.
I was going to say, Beth probably is a little bit like, maybe. I don't know if that was a total win, Dan. But she's it's almost better. It's almost out of the woods on that.
Pretty much
ish.
Yeah.
Ish. All right. That was fun. Sorry guys if I was too passionate, but
no, it's fine. I yes.
It's one I've got serious thoughts on.
Oh, I get it. And again, it's very philosophical, it's very heady. And the best part is, Dan, there's no right or wrong answer.
I think there is.
Well, everybody's going to think their answer is right, but yeah.
Right.
It's one I'm passionate about. There's a lot of things that we'll talk about that I'm like, I can see this side or that side. This one I'm pretty lined up on. No disrespect to anybody. I I've got my thoughts. And,
Sure.
you know, we talked earlier about like the baseline and how I'm like more open to certain things than I used to be, and I think there's more influences upon me, but there are some baseline things that aren't going to change. That's one of them. The need
and that
to,
makes sense.
The need to put in the work and go through the pain is so programmed into me after 50 some years of experience on both sides of it. I look at the one path and go, yeah, it's just superior, period. But that's just me. True false round?
Yeah, on that note, let's just go for the chaos.
Nice. All right, so if you're new to the program, this is how this works. We have 5 true and false. Well, they might be true and false, or true or false, either one. Questions.
Depends on how much Michael
It's
wants to
both.
argue with me tonight.
Exactly. That happens. So we get 3 minutes for Beth to present them and for us to discuss and lock in a true false answer. They're all over the place. They're a lot of fun. Ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Go.
I hope Michael has his notes. In medieval Europe,
Oh yeah.
some towns,
If it's in the past, it's true.
some towns enforced a nightly silence law where speaking above a whisper after dark could result in fines or punishment.
Do we have an area of the world?
Yeah, medieval Europe.
Oh, you said Europe. I just heard medieval times.
No,
like the
medieval
restaurant.
Europe.
Okay.
I started laughing because that's when he reached for his notes.
Yes, I gotta find I gotta go over here and shift over here. Yes.
He has a whole section about
I
anything that's
do.
medieval.
I've been writing down more. If it's in the past, now this kind of
it's not stupid though.
it's well.
Wasn't the rule if it's in the past and it's stupid, it has to be true?
It has to be true.
I kind of want this rule now
Yeah.
in my own
Especially
home. Maybe we'll enforce that starting tonight.
My neighbors.
I was just going to say neighbors.
I got some neighbors that this should absolutely 100% apply to.
How is it that an HOA has not adopted this? This seems like it's right down their lane.
I mean, they kind of have, but not exactly. I mean, we have laws about all sorts of weird stuff.
It seems too simple, but it feels like it should be true.
Yeah, it feels like I have to believe that this is true, but
it's not off the wall enough for the past to follow your rule. That's where I'm concerned.
It's only marginally dumb. Like, it's not really stupid. It's
I don't find it dumb. I find it inspirational. That's my problem with it.
Yeah. I guess.
Plus, how do you enforce that in a time when water was all polluted so everybody was drinking beer? How do you keep them quiet?
I mean, yeah, maybe that's why it didn't stick around long.
I'm going to go false just because I don't think it's off the wall enough.
Yeah. And you know, Dan, that logic it's one of those, it almost falls into your category of it sounds too obvious to be true. Like, that sounds like something that is like just a slam dunk that it's true, but because of that, it's really not.
Yeah.
And again, maybe we're being too philosophical on these questions as well, but yeah, I'm going to be with you on this one, Dan, and say that it's false, even though, well, Beth, just tell us that we're wrong and that it's true.
Actually, it's false.
Yay!
Yay!
This is why we talk it out.
It's a little too organized to be real. So it takes some ideas from real history and it just pushes them a little too far. Many towns did have curfews and nighttime rules, often signaled by a bell. But those laws were about things like staying indoors, putting out fires, or not causing loud disturbances. So kind of like what our HOAs do now. There wasn't a rule where you'd get in trouble just for talking above a whisper. But yeah, curfews were very, very common in medieval times. And the actual term curfew comes from the idea of covering fires at night, oddly enough. So yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, I knew about like curfews and things like that. And that's why, but I'd never heard of that either. And that's why,
half of these questions none of us have ever heard of.
Right.
Real.
But it wasn't dumb enough that I was like, it has to be true either. So
earlier today on TCF, we heard understand versus overstand. If you'll recall, did you hear that one, Michael?
Yes.
One.
Okay. So would the opposite or whatever of curfew be cur-many? And has somebody tried that word before? These are the questions.
Okay. All right. I might be able to work with that.
All right. Number 2?
Yeah.
Go.
Before modern science, people believed some birds didn't actually exist as independent animals, and instead thought they grew from trees or transformed from other creatures.
Give me that again. I was reading quickly about Rastafarians. Try again.
Okay.
I'll explain later.
Before modern science, people believed some birds didn't actually exist as independent animals, and instead thought they grew from trees or transformed from other creatures.
It's in the past and it's stupid.
Does that make it true, Michael?
This one. Okay, now this one, I'm gonna have to lean true on for that reason, Dan. This one, no. The other question, yeah, marginally silly, but no, this is this got to be true.
Yeah,
it just does. I don't. You wonder how people feel the way that they do. Although maybe my cat feels that way about birds. I don't know, but no, I'm gonna say it's true.
I am too. Locked in?
Yes.
It is true.
Yay.
Yes.
So, people didn't understand migration. You guys are going to like this. This story is kind of off the wall. So, when certain birds disappeared for part of the year, instead of saying, "We don't know," they came up with explanations. And one of those explanations was that birds, specifically barnacle geese, literally grew out of driftwood or trees, like a fruit, because no one had ever seen their nests or their eggs. And this wasn't just random. This belief stuck around from the 1200s into the 1600s before science finally caught up. So for about 400 years, people thought birds grew on trees or magically came out of wood. And of course, it originated in medieval Europe, because the dumb things do. Some regions classify these birds as fish for religious fasting purposes. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, several centuries before they understood migration and realized that barnacle geese weren't just growing from trees.
Past is weird.
It is.
Yes. Yeah, I was just going to say. What are we doing?
400 years. That's a long time.
You know, when people don't know how things work, they just come up with their own ideas. And those ideas are, they're stupid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So real quick before we move on, because I should explain myself, because I said I was reading about Rastafarians.
Yes,
I
please.
Googled overstand.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a term rooted in Rastafarian subcultures, meaning to comprehend a situation fully intuitively and from a higher perspective. So, and then since we talked about curfew, I also Googled cur many. And
That just makes me think of Kermit, but
yeah,
okay.
there is a little bit of possibilities there. There is an archaic or alternative. It's an archaic or alternative spelling, often confused with the surname Cormany. But if you do Kermany, CER, that is actually a region in Slovakia.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have anything to do
the
with.
frog here.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, so it doesn't have anything to do with Kermit with a gun in the bayou.
Songs.
It's back the way you came. I don't know how I feel about this question, but yeah.
Just thought I'd share. The more you know.
I mean, this is a very educational show. I hope people realize
It is.
today we have learned a lot. We've gotten philosophical, but then we've also discussed overstand and Rastafarians and a region of Slovakia.
And
I mean,
birds
what
going for
other
food.
show? I say this on my channel. What other show? There's no other show like this on the internet. I mean, come on.
And we'll
Come
probably
on.
find out over time if there was a reason for that.
Well, again,
we'll see.
but it's still true.
It's true.
But yes.
All right, number 3.
Number 3.
All right, go.
When ink was scarce, medieval monks sometimes used dark beer to write manuscripts until proper ink was available.
Too thin.
I mean, how would you do that? I mean, I've had some beer that was really, really thick that you feels like you could write with. Or
are we talking about like
mortar.
Blood Royal level Guinness or something? Or
Well, just dark beer. I mean, I can't exactly give you a brand name because they wouldn't have had that back then.
Monk's Light.
No.
Monk Ultra Dark.
Yeah, Monk's dark beer.
Yeah, I'm going to say true just because even though I can't really see how that's possible.
I suppose if you boil it down into a simple syrup.
Yeah, I mean,
does a dark beer reduce like a vinegar into like and become like a? Because I mean, we've done that with vinegar.
We've done that with wine.
Yeah. But there's like a fruit component there.
Yeah, I mean,
sugars that help bind that together.
Dark beer is. I mean, I'm not a fan of dark beer. I'm
not a fan of beer.
I like beer, but well, some of us do like our nectar of Lucifer, Dan. I mean,
no, I think more power to you.
I like beer. He doesn't.
It leaves me feeling sick more often than not. It's the hops.
As I've gotten older, I will say I just used to be when I was younger. I could just pound beer all night and it just didn't matter. But yeah, and for all you youngins out there, when you get to be a certain age, even a couple of beers, so you're having a couple of drinks, and that you will realize, not because you're drunk, you're like, oh no, I feel fine the next day, and it's not even like oh, the next day I'm hungover. It's not a hungover. It's just what did that do to my stomach? Like I just feel, bloated. That's the general feeling, right?
For me, that happens at 2:30 in the morning. I will drink and feel nothing, and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, "Oh, Lord,
yeah,
what just happened?" My head is pounding. The room is spinning. It's good times. Don't get
Yes.
old, friends. Don't try it. It's
Yeah,
dangerous.
it's getting old is not for the faint of heart. That is for sure.
Nope. Getting old is probably a game better played by the young. You need
Yes.
that strength.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, so you said you were true?
Yes. I'm true on this one.
I'm gonna go false because I don't see how it can be reduced to a simple syrup. Tell me I'm wrong.
It is false.
Yay!
But
Nice.
it mashes together a couple of very true things. So I could see why it might come off as probable, because monks back then were the ones who brewed all the beer, and monks were also the ones who copied all the manuscripts. But beer wasn't used as ink. Real ink at the time was made from things like soot, carbon, or plant-based compounds that actually bonded to the page. Beer would fade, smear, disappear, which is obviously not what you want when you're trying to preserve texts. So no, they weren't out there trying to rewrite the Bible with a stout, but that would be kind of funny to think about.
It would be. I thought for sure you're gonna tell us they made it with horse ears or something like that.
No, nothing that crazy. We're only at number 3, so
I know. All right, number 4.
yeah.
All right, step it up a notch. Go.
Are you ready, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Astronomers observed a star that exploded and then kept exploding on and off for nearly 3 years instead of fading like a normal supernova.
It's crazy enough that's probably true. Especially since it would challenge what we think we know.
I would. It sounds weird, but I know that star Betelgeuse, when that goes, that's going to keep going for a while. I mean, we're going to see the light from that for a long time. For months anyway. I mean, long time. You would think that when a star goes supernova, you see it. It's a bang. It's a flash. It's there for a minute or an hour or a day, and that's it. But I know it can go much longer than that. Now, what'd you say? 3 years?
Yeah. Astronomers observed a star that exploded and then kept exploding on and off for nearly 3 years instead of just fading like a normal supernova.
And do we know how many light years away that star was by chance? Because that's the crazy thing too with stars and stuff. What we're seeing happened long ago.
Yeah.
The sky is just a whole bunch of old light.
We're looking back in time. The further out you look, the further back in time you're looking.
I don't have how many light years away, but I can find it. It's not in my notes.
It's not critical. I was just curious if you knew.
I think it's true.
Like how long
only because
ago did it happen?
Well, I have info,
Okay.
whether it's true or false, but I have info.
Okay.
It certainly sounds true. I mean, space is weird.
This is true.
Yeah. Nature is weird. Space is weirder.
Yes. All right. I think we're true.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is true.
Cool.
But it shouldn't be. It completely breaks how we expect stars to behave. A normal supernova explodes once, gets bright, and then fades out over a few months. That's the rule. The star didn't follow that. It exploded and then kept getting brighter and dimmer over and over and over again for almost 1,000 days. That's almost 3 years of it basically refusing to stay dead. Evidently, it did settle down and become a normal nebula like you'd expect. But the way it got there, scientists still have no clean explanation. The name of the star, IPTF 14 HLS. It was discovered in 2014. And like I said, it remained active for about 1,000 days, far longer than any other typical supernova that scientists have ever studied. Showed multiple peaks in brightness instead of just a steady fade like it should. There's even evidence suggesting possible earlier activity at the same location decades prior. So it doesn't match any model that we currently have of anything out in the solar system.
I wonder just real quick if what they saw was at all affected by what's between us and the supernova. So if there was something in the way of that path of light or something in that system that changed what they were seeing.
I guess
Just
that's
curiosity.
possible, but you would think for as much observation that is done and like star mapping that is done, that you would have seen that before in some other star, not just that one.
Maybe. I mean, I buy the fact that it happened. I'm just curious if it's possible that something changed what we saw. I don't know.
I was just saying, like, statistically speaking, if that were the case, you know,
Yeah,
it'd be unlikely. But this is also very unlikely. So,
or is it? The universe is like infinitely vast, so
yeah,
I think that means all things are likely.
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5, Mikey.
Yes.
All right. Go.
A mysterious disease once spread across the world that caused people to fall into a near permanent sleep-like state, sometimes leaving them frozen and unable to move for years.
Man, I want to get that disease. Where is it and how do I get it? What doorknobs do I have to lick to get that disease?
See, everybody, this is what I'm talking about. This whole thing right here earlier when we were talking about having to put in the work and feel the pain. Here's Michael trying to find a shortcut past it.
It's a disease. I mean,
I thought you were going to give me a compliment for all the work I put into the show. No, you were you just whizzed on by that one.
Well, now I can't compliment you because you'll just be like, you're just saying that because I said something.
Yes. Okay, back to the question, boys.
What was the question? Oh, disease, like
A
paralyzed
mysterious
people for years.
disease.
yeah, Rip
Right
Van
across
Winkle
the world.
disease.
That caused people to fall into a near permanent sleep-like state, sometimes leaving them frozen and unable to move for years.
Better known as Gen Z. I'll say it's true. That I just haven't experienced it, but you know.
Tim says sounds like Walt Disney. Yeah, I was thinking Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Was it cured by the kiss from a frog?
You'll have to wait until we get to the reveal to find out.
Or was it cured by licking a toad? That's probably more likely. Huh. The years thing is too much for me.
Is
Because-
it? I
Because
don't know.
back then you don't have the sanitary conditions, so they wouldn't care for those people. They just they'd off them. They would, because it'd just be a stinky mess, and somebody at some point would just be like, "No, this is not acceptable," and they'd call the herd. Honestly, that's my biggest problem with it. But it's from the past and it's stupid.
That I mean, but is it stupid? I mean, again, it's called. I mean, literally, it's like going into a coma, but it's like it's not quite a coma.
It's a great coma, man. One that goes for years.
Like great coma,
It's great.
huge. And ready to go into a 5-year coma, just like the Phoenix Suns 58-year coma. Cannot wake up. Poverty franchise. Huge.
I'm gonna
I'm saying true.
go false just to be different. Yeah. Okay. You got our answers.
Michael is right. It is true.
Oh, all right.
It is honestly one of the
Yay.
creepiest medical mysteries that we've ever had. It was called sleepy sickness, and it's
very scientific.
I know. And here's the thing, it's not as old as you think. It spread globally in the early 1900s. People didn't just get tired. Some would fall into a state where they were awake but completely frozen, unable to move, unable to respond, sometimes for years. And just to head this off, this
Just like Gerald Ford.
Oh,
well played.
All right. And just to head this off, this isn't the same thing as catatonia. This was a neurological disease that was spread, and it affected the brain itself, not just a psychiatric condition like catatonia is. Others developed severe movement issues and personality changes, and even more unsettling, even now, scientists still don't know what caused it.
Yeah.
Its official name was encephalitis lethargic, so sleepy sickness.
Huh. I thought for sure you were gonna tell me that it was in the further past, and then I was gonna make a joke about how like time worked differently back then. Like no, seriously, like people would call like months years and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
like,
no, it roughly exact numbers, 1917 to 1930 is when it spread globally.
so
It's like the
basically
Spanish
definitely
flu.
that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they have no idea.
They have no idea what caused it.
Wow.
Wahoo thinks it was something in the nightshade family. Tim says they ate mushrooms and
Oh.
also blames it on teenagers. So yeah, are we sure this wasn't experimentation with some drug of the time?
It wouldn't account for a global epidemic, though.
I'll tell you, this is firecrackers, I tell you.
Sure it would.
Not everyone, especially in 1917, not everyone was fully globally trading, though. That's way later.
Yeah, but everybody knew how to grow weed. Did they just grow a really bad strain?
everyone all over?
Man,
I don't know. It just
that's some
it seems like
crazy
there has-
push.
right?
Right?
No, and I'm not even trying to be funny. It just seems like there has to be.
Well, again, that was,
There has to be a
that's right
trace of
around
the
the Spanish
cause.
flu time, too. 1917, 1918 was Spanish flu, which continued into the early 20s. And there's, I kind of wonder, if
Nina
that's just
thinks
coincidence.
Nina thinks it came from the first Joe's House of Meth.
Oh, that actually, yeah.
Joe, the original.
Yeah.
Joe Methington the first.
So do you think maybe Michael then like some kind of offshoot of the Spanish flu?
Or like
Like
a
it
precursor?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because again, that's the time frame the Spanish flu started, was right about 1917, right at the end of World War II, 1917, 1918, kind of
then it
peaked in
morphed.
that 18, 19, 19, 19, 1920. That, again, maybe it's completely coincidental. Maybe the two aren't at all related. I'm just sort of wondering.
Wahoo's questioning chemtrails. He says cyanide gas fallout.
Ah, of course.
That might be.
Yes. Well, who've been reading the comments over on my weather channel?
Did the Spanish flu just cross borders and become the Portuguese flu, and that was what it was? I don't know. That's
Got
interesting.
sleepy.
Though. Normally, your questions are like crazy off the wall. This one's actually thought provoking.
Yeah.
I wonder how that could happen. Not just the flu, but the question. Yeah, exactly.
Purely accidental, I assure you.
Right?
Like I said, not
a great question.
complimenting me at all today.
Ah, what a day.
All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you, Beth, for preparing
Yes.
such a fine show. Actually, it was seriously. This was a thought-provoking one, especially that first question where I just we kind of meandered through it a little bit, but I think it was because it was just so multi-directional.
Yeah, it was. It was
I
very
like those that challenge.
Yeah, it was. It's very philosophical, and that's not a bad thing. It's just really there's so many ways you can go, and there's no real wrong answer, but there's a lot of possible answers.
Exactly.
So I just looked it up. Like you guys were saying, there's obviously a small possibility, but there's nothing documented, and from the things that are documented, scientists didn't have any proof that the two were related.
Well, we also didn't have indoor toilets at that point either, so
Yeah, well,
I mean, if something like that, I was about to say, if something like that came around today, they'd know what it was, would they?
Well, see, even with the Spanish flu, they knew what triggered it. Like they were able to figure it out and narrow
It
it
was
down.
tapas, wasn't it?
But tapas. But with the encephalitis lethargic or lethargia or whatever, there was no documentation and no pathology that actually proved a single virus. So they couldn't nail it down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
think about it, chat. See if you can figure out a reason why that happened. Do your research and come back to us on Wednesday.
Could it happen again?
You'll have a
Yes.
homework assignment because we will be back Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll be back tomorrow on TCF at 9 a.m. Eastern. Michael will have his Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion video.
True.
Seems like they're being posted earlier and earlier every day.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But this was fun, so thank you, everybody. And I personally look forward to seeing you all Wednesday.
And we're back to Trivia Daily, too, on the channel.
So.
So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. No, check that out. Go to the community tab, and there's trivia there for you every day. Plus, go to itbshow.com and sign up for the emails if you don't have those already. Pick yourselves up a Joe's House of Meth shirt, or if you'd be so kind, leave us a donation and help us keep this thing going.
Yes.
All right. See you next time, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.